Can you get that? I'm hearing something. You gotta play back on the computer.
I muted the one person that was talking. Mute. Okay. Alright, so folks are still going to be trickling in.
Sure.
So just keep that in mind, but
Sure.
we're going to get started. Okay, quiet guys.
Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for watching our Orting Veterans Village grand opening celebration. We are so thrilled that the day has finally come that we could show you the village. My name is JC Osterberg. I'm the Executive Director for Quixote Communities, and we have our whole Orting team here to answer any questions that you might have. We will introduce everyone, but first I just wanted to do some rule of thumb for questions. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand, which is underneath the reaction box. And then if you don't feel like verbally talking, you can send something in the chat, and then our team will call on you and unmute you. So again, my name is JC Osterberg. I'm the Executive Director, and we will introduce the team.
I'm Michaelstedman, resident advocate.
And I'm Todd Gunther, the Program Manager.
Welcome, I'm Joe Shorin, President of the Board of Quixote Communities.
I'm Hannah Bailey, I'm the Volunteer Coordinator and Mayor for Vista.
All right. So that's everyone that's here today. And again, we're just so excited that you joined us for our celebration and that you stuck around for the live Q&A. So are there any questions in the audience?
I have a question, Shirley Nielsen.
Hi.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very useful. I'm sitting over here in Cloud County, Port Angeles, so I'm not near the area that you're in. But I'm interested in volunteering for veterans things, so that's why I'm here. Hi, Joe. I see you. I'm Joe Shorin. I have a question about the entire concept. I was researching some of the information, and I got to learn about Quixote Village and some of the beginnings of all of this. And there's and this is talking about, I think, Quixote Village, the original. And I'll just read the sentence. When Panza developed and built Quixote Village, it took on the legal responsibilities of a landlord under state law. My question is, does that mean that whoever manages the Orting Veterans Facility takes on the responsibilities and the obligations under the Washington State Landlord-Tenant Act? And if so, because we've had the COVID shutdowns, and it's been almost impossible to evict people, what do you do if someone is acting out in a drug-addicted or mental health way and you can't evict them? Have you had any problems because of that?
Great questions. Yes, absolutely. So when we did start, a little bit of history, so we did start our nonprofit to help and support Camp Quixote, which was a tent city that was in Olympia, Washington. And then we were able to, through a lot of hard work and many years, create the permanent tiny house village, Quixote Village. And so the relationship kind of changed with our nonprofit. We did become landlords. So we do property management, and we do, we're required to follow all landlord tenant laws, Fair Housing Act, all of those things. Our residents do sign a lease. Which states, a lot of very similar things to a regular lease, but it also does have a lot of code of conduct because it is communal living. So they have some kind of social norm rules that folks follow. And then since we are recovery housing, there is another component that's baked into their lease that talks about, living in a clean and sober environment and kind of what that entails. And so your question to the moratorium, eviction moratorium, correct. We cannot evict anyone because of failure to pay rent, which we usually don't do without the eviction moratorium because we are supportive housing, so we work with folks. If they're not able to pay their rent, we're pretty lenient and work with them on payment plans and things like that. But we have had some issues, and that just goes with any kind of apartment living or any sort of housing program. We have had some folks during the eviction moratorium that was kind of some behavioral health issues that were were affecting the community and was kind of more of a health and safety hazard. And so with that, you are able to, since it's a, if there's a threat or whatever, are able to work with that person to ask them to leave. Eviction is never what we want. In fact, we've actually only had one eviction for 8 years. So we really work to try to have it be very amicable of like, okay, like this isn't working out, let's try to find you another place to live. Because as we know, if you have an eviction on your record, it's so hard to get housing regardless, but if you have that, it's like a scarlet letter pretty much. So we work with folks to make sure that they don't get that. But yes, we are able to, even with the eviction moratorium, if someone's behavior is affecting the community, we can work with them to find another place for them. Did that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we can put our contact information in the chat as well too if you want to reach out and talk one-on-one later.
So,
Thank you.
okay, so next is Marlo Martinez.
Marlo, yes.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm the case manager at Community Court. I am so pleased to see that your agency is expanding and serving so many more people. I'm excited about this. It was a great presentation. I just wanted to ask, who's eligible to become a resident and how will a person apply or ask for residency at the village?
Absolutely. Thanks, Marlo. Appreciate that question. I will let our program manager, Todd Gunther, answer that one.
So we have a number of requirements to move into the village, and we basically have a three-step process. First, we have a pre-screening to make sure that they match the basics. For example, that they are a veteran, that they are currently homeless in Pierce County, and then after we go through these eligibility requirements, we do a background check. For example, if there's been any violence in the past 12 years, if there's been, if there's any warrants out there for arrest and things like that. And then we do a drug test to finish it out. And to the last part of the question, if anybody would like to contact me, I can be emailed at ortingpm@quixotecommunities.org, or my phone number is 360-872-0079.
Great. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks.
Thanks,
You're welcome,
Marlo.
ma'am.
Yeah, and so people can directly contact Todd to get on the wait list or learn how to get on it. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so next is Paul Herrera.
Okay, Paul, yes, I recognize that name. Oh, is he unmuted?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, hey, I want to thank everybody for, finally getting this done. It's been a vision of, I work as a police officer, and this is really needed, and I'm so happy that this is happening. My question is, I know we're just starting out now, but is there any plans of expanding this throughout the state of Washington, of course, because the need is far and wide?
Great question. Thanks, Paul. Yes, we get asked that all the time. It is very needed in pretty much every community. But for expansion, I will let our president of the board, Joe Shorin, answer that one.
Thanks for the question. So currently, we have the existing village in Olympia and this new village here in Orting. And we're also in the process of developing a village in Shelton, Washington, the Shelton Veterans Village that will be also exclusively for veterans. We don't have any immediate plans for villages beyond that. However, that's a conversation, I think, for our board of directors to have moving into the future. But right now, the villages on task are the Shelton Village following this one, and that's it for what we currently have in the queue.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Next is Lisa Parsley.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I first thank you. It was very inspirational. My questions are kind of different from each other. The first one is, I understand the village is being clean and sober. Do you allow the medically assisted patients that are going through the programs? Because I went to a fabulous one that's being run by the Indigenous Peoples PAC up in Auburn, and it is phenomenal. process. Just wondering if you're going to allow that kind of resident. And the second one is very divergent because, among other things, I'm a veterinarian. Are you allowing pets into your villages? And if so, are you looking for veterinarians that might be willing to come visit pets?
Awesome, Lisa. Yes, and you're a city council member in Olympia, is that right? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I thought so, okay. Yes, those are great questions. So yes, for the clean and sober, so yes, medically assisted, we have folks in Olympia who do, go to clinics and things like that need that for their sobriety, absolutely. We want to help folks with whatever recovery looks like to them. So yes, absolutely, allow that. And then the pets one, that's a great question. We get asked that a lot too. We're technically landlords, and so we do have to abide by tenant landlord fair housing. So we do allow emotional support and service animals. We have quite a few dogs and cats over in our Olympia Village, and it's just really fun to have them. So yes, we do allow pets. We don't currently, I believe, have any in Orting right now. No, not yet. But we are doing a staggered opening, so we only have a few folks right now. But I'm sure that we're going to have some. And absolutely, we would love to work with you, or if you have contacts for veterinarians, that's always a really high need, especially with folks who have really low income or fixed income and aren't able to, go above and beyond with some of the pricing for veterinary care. So I would love to, and I'm wondering best way I can put in my contact information if you want to reach out to me. My email is executive@QuixoteCommunities.org, but I'm guessing Carlos, our video person, might be able to put that in the chat for us. Yeah, Carlos? Can you put in my email, please? Thank you, Lisa, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. And I do know veterinarians who would help, including a couple of groups, one called the Covenant Creatures that works with unsheltered as well as very low-income families.
Awesome. I think we've worked with them before in Olympia for possibly pet food. Does that ring a bell, Hannah? Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. So the next question is actually a written question.
Oh, okay, a written one.
In the vetting process, this is from Alice Ritter and Kara Bissell. In the vetting process, is there an outstanding drug? If there is an outstanding drug or warrant out, is there a process to help the individual then to be eligible?
Yeah. Could people hear you say that out loud?
No.
Oh, they couldn't. I'm so sorry. So the question was, and I'm guessing people can probably see in the chat as well too, if someone has a drug or an outstanding warrant, what does that look like with our process? Are we able to help them? We have had that come up before, and Marcus, do you want to answer that for us? That's his territory.
Well, when we come across that, which we have twice, I personally go in and check what court it come out of and find out the process, and I pass that information on to the case managers to give to their client. And once we get that resolved, we can move further in the process. So that's how we're doing it.
Yeah, and I think we've gotten at least one of those resolved.
Yes.
Right, yeah. And so a lot of the folks that we've already been working with for Orting already have a case manager wherever they're at, if they're at a shelter or transitional housing. So we work with, it's been really great to be able to work with their case manager so they can help with that as well too. But yes, absolutely, we'll definitely work with people who have warrants or things like that outstanding. Because we really don't want to screen anyone out, we want to screen folks in. So we do what we can to get folks in here.
Okay, the next one is Christine Hellman.
Okay, next one, Christine Hellman.
Hello, I want to thank you for having me, and I love the program. I'm Auxiliary President 2224 from Puyallup. I just have some volunteering questions.
Absolutely, I'll go over to Hannah. Sorry, go ahead.
About cooking, because I received an email and it said about cooking and stuff. Is it cooking once a week or once a month?
Yeah.
And also, can we cook there so we can interact with the residents and stuff and enjoy their time and listen to them? That's one of my questions.
Okay. Yeah, the goal is to have a community dinner once a week. I'm hoping to shoot for Wednesdays, but I'll work with dinner donors on a case-by-case basis. So yeah, absolutely. We're hoping to do once a week. I'll be putting up a sign-up form for people to choose their weeks, similar to like how churches have food sign-ups. So we'll be doing that. And what was the other question?
Can they be here?
Oh, yeah, can they cook here? So it's a little tricky right now with COVID. Recently, we haven't been having people cook here, but as we move along in COVID and things become safer, yes, it's absolutely welcome for people to cook here once it's safe again.
Perfect.
Well, we're on.
Okay, yeah.
Well, we are on
That's
Hannah.
something we'd like to do so we can interact with the residents.
Yeah, I always recommend dinner donors. It's my favorite volunteer activity for new volunteers. It's the best way to get to know our villagers.
Right. Well, that's great. And also, about donating and stuff, can we just donate online, or is there a particular thing if we want to donate towards landscaping? Can we donate our money towards landscaping, or is it just one big bulk?
Yes,
Maybe.
yeah, so you can't allocate where your funding goes. I'm not sure about the event page, the screen that you all just viewed for the program. I'm not sure if the allocations there are quite as specific, but if you donate through our website, you can donate very specifically. There's even a box where you can write in where you'd like it to be dedicated to. So if there's specific funding you'd like to give for landscaping, you can definitely make a note of that, and then we'll note that too.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks for the answers.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we are on Hannah. Someone asked earlier in the chat if, sorry, give me 1 second here. How do you organize volunteers as teams, groups, projects, or as individuals?
How do we organize volunteers? That's a great question. We are completely learning as we go. Our volunteer force at the Olympia Village was much smaller than it is here. So we are absolutely learning as we go. Right now we do it all through Google Forms, but we're looking into different products right now because there's just so many people that want to help, which is amazing, but it overwhelms a Google Form very quickly. So now if you have a group, like maybe your kids are in a Girl Scout troop or a Boy Scout troop that want to volunteer, or your church group, whatever group you would like to volunteer with, you can just shoot me an email and then we can get set up on a date, a time, how you'd like to volunteer, because there's so many opportunities here.
Michaelstedman.
Okay, next person is Michaelstedman. Go ahead.
Thank you, guys. I guess it's a question, but first I want to say thank you for all you're doing for local veterans. It's great. 50 people last time I looked on the participants page, from Lisa Parsley to Beth Leo, Darcy Huffman, and even Canine Arlo and Tyler are here. Everybody's supporting veterans, and when it comes to housing and homelessness, is so complicated of an issue, but I think when you start with either children or veterans, that's the best place to start and get the community rally behind it. Having said that, are you guys coordinating with the Veterans Hub in Lacey? And how can the city of Lacey and the Lacey Veterans Service Hub assist you guys? Because this is wonderful. I almost forgot to mention the countless VFW members, American Legion members, and I think I saw 24 Marines in the presentation and here personally. So any way we can help is essentially what I'm getting at.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I know of the Lacey Hub, or Veterans Hub, and we haven't had too much contact with them unless you guys have, that I don't know of. No? Okay. I guess we just haven't really reached out to them because geographically it's kind of far away. But if you all, your services reach out here in Harris County, we would love to get hooked up with that. If you have a contact there, or is that where you're at, Michael?
Yeah, because I think, some of the issues that some of the veterans may be struggling with that are out there at the village and Orting, which is also wrestling country. You guys have an awesome wrestling program out there. They can be directed to the Lacey Veterans Hub, for some help and assistance and all that. So any way we can bridge those gaps and get our quality of life for our veterans back up to par where it should be, we're all about it, and we want to assist that in any way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. What would be the best way for us to connect? Should I send an email to somewhere?
Send him your
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, I have your contact too. I'm gonna be talking to the city manager and the mayor as well. And, so any way, shape or form, we'll get the dots connected and I can be the bridge the gap.
We would love that. Yeah, there are so many different supportive services out there and resources for veterans, and some of them are kind of siloed. So like you said, the more we can kind of bridge that gap, the better. So thank you, I really appreciate that.
And we even have free volunteer transport too.
Oh, very cool. Okay, great. Yeah, very great.
Rob Richards.
Rob Richards, you're up.
Hey,
Hi.
thanks for having me. On a personal note, I just want to say I was so lucky to be involved years ago when it was Camp Quixote, and to see it grow as much as it has been just spectacular. And putting on my Team Kilmer hat, my day job, I work for Congressman Derek Kilmer, and while Orting isn't in our district, a number of residents of the home there are from our district, and so I do a lot of casework. I work for Derek. I cover Grace Harbor County, but I also do military and veteran constituent affairs. And I know we got to help out a little bit with your project in Mason County, and that was awesome to see that come together. So I'm going to put my contact info in the chat, but anytime somebody has an issue with the VA or any other federal agency, they can reach out, and we're happy to help. So we're here, and we have some good veteran community connections in Pierce County as well. So hit me up, and I'm glad to help you connect. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Next is Paul and Shirley Batten.
Okay, Paul and Shirley, you all are up.
Well, I was wondering, what did you learn from the Olympia Village experience that you took to Orting, or maybe you changed when you had the Orting project? And then I guess the second part would be, what will change or what will be similar as you work on the Shelton project?
Okay, great. I will answer the first part, and then I'll have Joe, who I know you're friends with, I'll make him answer the second part. So the first part, we did learn a ton from the Olympia Village. You know, we broke ground. We opened in 2013 when really there weren't a bunch of tiny house villages anywhere, and so you know, we just went with our best guess of what we thought would work. And so we do have a lot of lessons learned design-wise. Specifically, we only have 2 ADA units in Olympia, and for the folks that we're housing, we realized we just really need more than that, and so we tripled that. We're tripling that in Orting and in Shelton, so we'll have 6 ADA units, so for folks with mobility issues, but also all of our units are on the ground level, so there's no stairs. We have some stairs in the Olympia cottages. There's 2 stairs, and for some folks that's just too many, and so that was definitely a different design for that. Also the site plan, we learned a lot from the residents at Olympia too. We kind of asked them, you know, what would you change, showed them the site plans and things like that, because they're the experts, right? They're the ones living here. And so another thing was kind of to shift around the actual site plan and design of the tiny homes. So they're kind of more, instead of just being parallel, which they are in Olympia, they're kind of staggered a little bit, so people aren't like looking directly into someone's window. Things like that. Those are the kind of the top ones that we found. But actually, now that I think of it, obviously the biggest one is there are showers in these units. So there are not showers in the tiny homes in Olympia. They have community showers in the community building. And that was something that was kind of, you know, wanting to have a little bit more independence for our folks. We added that. So everyone has their own shower, which was really a great enhancement that we're able to do. And then for Shelton, Joe, do you want to answer that? Any enhancements for Shelton?
Sure.
Thank you.
So, you know, each time we develop one of these villages, we do try to sort of take some lessons learned from the prior one, as JC described some of the things that we did differently here. And so Shelton, we're doing sort of a little different experiment in the sense that while our model is community supported permanent housing, and a big piece of that is that the residents have independent tiny homes. In the Shelton Veterans Village, and I wonder if we can put a picture up of this, we are clustering the homes into clusters of 4 primarily, so that even though they'll each be separate homes that have separate entrances, there'll be one roof over the collection of homes. And we talked with a number of veterans and a number of our existing residents before making the decision to do that. because it was a way that we could save significant cost in the construction. And the feedback we got was actually very positive, that folks felt like having that kind of cluster of homes would create greater community amongst the residents. So that's one significant thing that we are doing in Shelton based on sort of a lessons learned. And of course, one thing that's constant in all of these villages is the core of our model, which I said is community supportive permanent housing. And that involves having a community center where, even though the residents live in separate homes, they have a community kitchen that they can come into, they share meals, they share some responsibility for maintaining the common space, and we have full-time supportive staff on site to help ensure that they are successful and transition well to this community environment. Great question, thanks.
All right, quick question on the chat.
Thanks.
Quick question on the chat from Darylyn.
Okay.
Because
Question in
you
the
are
chat.
on the Washington Soldiers Home campus, are there regulations that residents must abide by?
Oh, great question. You said Darylyn. So because we are on the Soldiers Home campus, are there different regulations? And so yes, there are some things we worked. They've been great partners. I mean, they're giving us this property for $1 a year for 40 plus years. Just superb partners, and they've been working with us every step of the way as we kind of learn what's going on here. So there are some different regulations. So you know, for instance, they are, you know, a federally funded location, and so there comes also with just like the security of the place. And so especially with COVID, there's some regulations that we have to abide by, which we would want to anyways, of course. But they have some overarching, you know, rules and regulations specifically for COVID that we have to abide by. So for instance, they created a security guard entrance. And so we are, you know, people have to get on the list in order to come into the village. And then also there were some regulations on how to move people into the village, and so they wanted us to make sure, you know, that people were tested and and quarantine until they get their, you know, negative result, and if it was positive for COVID, then they'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So kind of the like kind of more admin in and out stuff. There were some regulations, but they're really working with us. And they want to, you know, they want to be good neighbors. We want to be good neighbors. Want to have a really good partnership. So there are some ins and outs that are overarching rules, but we are still our own, you know, our own organization, our own program. We still have our like rooted program model and rules and regulations that we have. So for some of the folks that we have, it'll be kind of a interesting transition, because something that's been really great is, I don't know if everyone knows, but there is a transitional housing program here. So there already are some homeless vets living here in our transitional housing who then are able to move into our village for permanent housing, which is just a really great pipeline. But for some of them, there's different rules. And so, for instance, they have a curfew, 11 o'clock curfew. Here, there is no curfew. This is permanent housing. They can come in and go as they please. But yeah, there's just some different things like that, I guess. And I'm trying to think if there's any other really specific ones you guys can think of.
Badges.
Oh, badges. Yeah, that was a new thing that we don't have in Olympia. Because it is the campus, there's a lot of different programs, a lot of people coming and going. And so they did want us to have our staff and residents, if they are on the campus, not in the village, but on the campus, to wear badges that have their face and name and that they live at the village. So some security things like that for the most part, but they've been really tremendous and great to work with.
Okay. Next is Terry Graves.
Next is, Terry Graves, yes.
Well, first of all, I want to raise my hands to you guys as a white passing native and a veteran. I live in Carbonado, but I am the Cowlitz Tribal Veterans Rep, soon to be housed out of DuPont. We just recently purchased the old Girl Scout building in DuPont, and I'm going to be based out there. Although Cowlitz is from southwestern Washington, the greatest number of enrolled members is in Pierce County. And I live up in Carbonado, so I would drive past Orting and watch the progress and thought, how can we contribute and be a part of this? Some of us are old and broken and may not be able to swing a hammer, but I brought this to my tribal council, and I'm glad that we were able to contribute.
Yes.
JC, thank you so much for the land acknowledgement for the Puyallup and Coast Salish people. That was very, very appreciated. And this is a dream that I see for not only my homeless veterans, but my homeless natives, to be able to combine to the Shelton dream and the village dream, where I have transitional housing for those, and then I have housing for those that are coming home, that are transitioning back into civilian life for their families. So I just want to pick your brain and download everything that the board has done and learn from you. And I don't believe in recreating the wheel. I would love to be able to partnership with you guys and take it even further. We have some lands that a lot of us are trying to get our lands back, purchase our lands, and some of the lands that are federally released are supposed to go to tribes first. So I'll have my eyes open and ears open and whatever helping. And this isn't a one-time thing. You understand that you can, every year you can submit a request, and we'd love to help.
Yeah, thank you so much, Terry. And I just want to say thank you to you. We didn't even know of the Cowlitz Tribes Foundation, and you reached out to us and said, hey, I think you should apply, and they ended up being our premier sponsor. So that just means so much to us. That's a ton of money that's going to go to a good cause and really go a long way for our folks. So thank you for that. And yeah, I would love for you to pick my brain. We keep talking about trying to put together some sort of packet of how to build a tiny house village, but of course with everything going on, it's kind of been going on the back burner. But yeah, I am happy to chat with you and to send our lease and just anything that our operating budget, things like that. I'm happy to share those things. And like you said, yeah, don't want to recreate the wheel. So I'm definitely happy to share any information. Absolutely. And just thank you again.
You are such a blessing. All these people that have donated and volunteered and are even just the spirit and the love that you have for our veterans. And I raise my hands to all of you for all your work. So, and Marcus, you had me in tears, brother. So I love what you guys did, you and Tom, and in your story. Uncle Billy Frank, who his big thing is to tell your story, and you telling your story heals so many hearts and helps so many hearts to heal. So thank you for your words, Marcus. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much.
Okay, next is Maria and Mike Ruth. Maria and Mike Ruth.
Oh, okay. Did you want to add something?
No.
Oh, sorry. Next we have big supporter of ours, Maria and Mike Ruth. You're up.
Yeah. Hi, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see we've got a little event here. We had a couple of dozen people come over for lunch to participate in this. And it's super moving, and we're just so grateful for all the work you're doing. One question we have is, when do you have a wait list, and what the terms are of eligibility? How do you register people? Like, what's your intake process?
Yeah, that's a great question. Todd kind of talked about that a little bit, but basically folks can contact Todd directly. So we can put his info in the chat. I think it might already be there, or you can always find it on our website. It's ortingpm@quixotecommunities.org. Or we can put his phone number up there as well. You can directly talk with him. We still are accepting folks to move in, so we still do have some homes available. And then our eligibility requirements, Carlos, you might actually put those up on the, we might be able to put a photo up for you all. But basically it is, they do have to be a veteran without any dishonorable discharge. They do have to be homeless living in Pierce County. We do a background check, so no active warrants. We are not able to house sex offenders, as well as someone with a violent crime within the last 12 months. So there are some stuff that we do look for in our background check. We don't care about credit score. We don't care if you have any income. We'll definitely help you to, like I said in the video, try to find you income if that's something that you want. But we don't screen anyone out who has zero income. And then I'm trying to think, single occupancy, so they are just single homes for one person, for adults 18 and over. And I believe, did I miss anything?
One thing,
Oh, I missed one thing.
National Guards and Reserves, welcome as well.
Yeah, National Guard and Reserve are welcome. I know for some veteran housing projects, they're not, and we do welcome those folks to live in the village. Thank you.
Awesome. Those are all the questions for now.
Okay.
I think there's one from JLS.
Okay.
JLS DMAB's iPhone.
Okay, there's JLS iPhone? JS iPhone, sorry, I'm getting fed information, I can't see you all.
I couldn't get the camera to work on my computer, so I had to resort to the phone. So my name is John Selzler. I am a veteran, having served in the Army and the Air Force, and I founded a nonprofit project called Music Works for Veterans, and that was, we started that actually out in Orting in 2012. And so we bring music to them, and what we do is it's an all-inclusive music jam. We perform and we encourage others to perform with us. Any levels, any level or no skill level at all is welcome. And so we just work towards getting people into play music with us. I'm a songwriter. I help tell some veteran stories through songwriting if they choose to do so. I have several songs I can share with you. So we have a dialogue going in email, I think, amongst your staff. And so kind of waiting for things to settle down a little bit, and I'm looking forward to continuing with that dialogue. And so a question I have too is about the staffing there. Did you mention, is it 24/7?
Oh, yeah, great question, and thank you for your service and all the work that you do. We would love to have something like that once we're set up and ready. And no, we are not 24/7 staff actually, which kind of sets us apart from a lot of housing programs. So we do have 3 full-time staff right now that are on site, and they work 40 hours a week, but we do not have 24/7 staff. We do have on-call staff, so if there is an emergency, then they can, they have a number that they can call. But yeah, we're actually not 24/7 staff.
Okay, so if you don't have staff there and we want, and we can arrange so that we can start coming out there perhaps on a schedule, and it's in the evenings or on the weekends, that's still a possibility if you don't have staff there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will defer to my staff, but I'm thinking we could probably make that work probably after a few times working with you all and learning kind of the ropes of our place and whatnot. But I think I think we could make that work.
Yeah. We can further that discussion when you guys have time after you get through all this busyness here. And then also I am interested in the adopting a tiny home. I don't know if you do that individually or an organization, is either or both. Either one. I mean, it can be let's say for example, if I wanted to have Music Works for Veterans adopt a tiny home, that's a possibility.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we do have different groups that come together. I think we had a book club before who not necessarily they're able, it's $1,500, so some people aren't able to donate that much, but in a group, we've had that before as well too, where people chip in, $20, $100 here and there, that equates to $1,500. So we can do it however you want to, or we can make payment plans or whatever. But yeah, it could be through your group, and everyone that does the adopted tiny home, they get a personal plaque that you can hang, and then they also get on our community center building, our wall. We have a tiny house hero wall that their names are on there too. Yeah.
Okay. And does the plaque go to the donors, or is it on one of the homes, or how does that work?
The plaque actually goes to the donor. Yes, if you want one. Not everyone wants one, but sometimes people like to, if it's a business, display it on their office wall or whatever.
Oh, okay. And if we entered the 24-month payment program for $125, I think it was, is that, can you start out that way, but if you come up with all the money to pay in full, can you just pay in full at any time?
Oh yeah, and you can can always just reach out to myself or Hannah, and we'll figure out a way to do it. Yeah, and then I think Joe had something to add to that.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, one of the things that we have, it's actually in our strategic plan, and that we will be working on once we got sort of through this grand opening, is we are planning on building on our Adopt a Home program and wanting to focus on neighborhood associations and faith-based organizations, because those seem like two areas of particular abundance, I would say, and it would be easy for neighborhoods to come together. You know, if you have a group of homes in a neighborhood, everyone can kick in a little bit, and it's sort of like, a neighborhood supporting housing for homeless vets. And so it seemed like a nice way that people can participate. So we're going to be working over the next few months on materials focused on that specifically, but I'll just, since we have a captive audience, put the bug in people's ear that, if you don't have the resources yourself, you can come together with your neighbors and adopt a home together, and that's a really neat way to build community.
That's wonderful, and this would be an actual one of we'd be adopting an actual tiny home in Orting, correct?
Yes, we have the program Adopt a Tiny Home for all 3 of our villages, but you can specifically say, hey, I want this for Orting. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for all your hard work that you've all put into this to make it happen. It's something that I've kind of kept my eye on a little bit, and was really hoping it would come to fruition, and I'm glad you're here. And thank you for serving our fellow veterans, and we appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to further dialogue with you down the road.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
One last question.
Okay, looks like we have one last question.
Can residents go to the Washington Soldiers Home bingo parties?
The question was, great question. Can village residents go to the bingo parties at the Soldiers Home campus? I think they can. I don't see why not. We couldn't do that. You don't want them to? No.
Well, here's the deal. We separate programs, so we're trying to bridge that. Our guys get to use some of the things over there. So I'm working hard. I'm fighting hard for that, because some of our guys just want some things to do for hobbies, but I'm making the connections. I'm working on it. Right now, I'm just going to say no.
Working on it. Or you can have a bingo party here, maybe. I don't know. Have it here too. But yeah, we are trying to, it gets kind of complicated sometimes with different grants and funding and things like that. So we really are trying to work that out to have more accessibility over the programs over there. And we're always looking for fun, different activities that folks can do here as well. I know Todd's really interested in having bands come. We have a really great, awesome big porch where people can come, have a concert or even a movie night and things like that. So we're always looking for things like that to entertain folks and just have it be a fun place to live. Okay. And so no more questions? We're good? Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us, for joining the Orting Veterans Village grand opening celebration, and also for sticking around and asking us questions. You can please reach out if you have any other questions. And thank you so much. It takes a village, and thank you for being in ours. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.